Friends of our channel, I'm Carlos Alberto, the thinker. Once again, the pendulum of history is swinging strongly. In recent years, we have witnessed a significant political shift. Donald Trump has returned to the White House, and Javier Milei is implementing his libertarian experiment in Argentina. Some celebrate these changes with euphoria. Others reject them with fear. Today, in this new chapter of Stoic Geopolitics, we will do neither. Our task is to observe clearly, analyze calmly, and extract useful lessons. We don't ask if this shift is left or right. We ask, what concrete proposals are they implementing? What results are they generating? What are the foreseeable consequences? And, above all, what can we control in the face of this pendulum swing? Because the pendulum always swings. What seems definitive today can be reversed tomorrow. In this first video, we will analyze Trump and Milei. In the second part, we'll talk about Bukele, Bolsonaro, and the great opportunity opening up for South America in the formation of a true shield of the Americas. The path is made by walking. Donald Trump and his return in 2025. Trump represents, above all, a return to American pragmatism. His approach focuses on three main pillars: a protectionist economy with the motto America First, strong immigration control, and a more realistic foreign policy, less interventionist in some cases, but more assertive in others. During his first term, 2017 to 2021, he managed to lower unemployment to historically low levels before the pandemic, renegotiated trade agreements such as NAFTA, which became USMCA, and maintained firm pressure on China. His return in 2025 comes in a context of accumulated inflation, a segment of the population's wariness with progressive policies, and a perception of international weakness for the United States. What can we say with certainty? Trump understands something many forget. A strong economy has far more influence than a weak one. His tariff and reindustrialization policies aim to correct what he considers the excesses of unchecked globalization. This does generate trade tensions, but it can also strengthen America's industrial base. However, this is where a Stoic perspective comes in. Not everything depends on a single will. Congress, the Supreme Court, governors, and global economic realities impose clear conditions. Often, strong pronouncements can end in negotiations or partial adjustments. This is why governing is the primary art a politician must master. The most visible risk is polarization. Often, progress creates a counter-reaction, and this can be intense. And therein lies an important lesson of the pendulum. When one side pushes too hard, the other ends up pushing back with equal force. These are the checks and balances typical of the democratic system, which ultimately enrich the system itself. This generates hope and expectation. Trump embodies a correction that many American citizens perceived as necessary. If he manages to stabilize the economy, effectively control the border, and reduce unnecessary conflicts abroad, he could open a space for Latin America to redefine its relationships in a more realistic and less ideological way. This isn't about idealizing him. It's about observing clearly. For many, Trump is a savior, and for others, a demon. Neither is true. He is a political leader who stands out powerfully in the pendulum swing of history. His decisions and actions always have repercussions on a global scale. Javier Milei in Argentina. From the perspective of the pendulum of history, the emergence of Javier Milei appears as a lifeline in the midst of a hopeless ocean. After decades of Kirchnerist populism that led Argentina to one of the deepest crises in its history, runaway inflation, growing poverty, and currency destruction, Milei represents a sharp, almost surgical reaction to the other extreme. From a South American perspective, each country has its own characteristics, but there are also clear similarities. The Sao Paulo Forum demonstrated for years the capacity for ideological coordination among different countries of the continent. This network of influence, which often ended up connecting with the interests of China and Russia, generated a recurring pattern: increased public spending, high rates of corruption, crime, and drug trafficking, strong state intervention, confrontation with the West, and eventually economic and social exhaustion. The weakening of the United States image in the years leading up to Trump also played a very important role. When the hegemonic power seems to falter, the spaces are quickly filled. Milei emerged then as an almost visceral response to all that weariness. His central proposal is clear: a drastic reduction of the state, partial dollarization, elimination of fiscal deficits, and economic liberalization. In just a few months in office, he has already managed to move from a chronic fiscal deficit to a surplus, curbed some of the hyperinflation, and began to deregulate important sectors of the economy. Visible results, and for many Argentinians, almost miraculous after so much suffering. However, from a Stoic perspective, we must observe with serenity and impartiality. Shock therapy is painful. There are real social costs: increased poverty in the short term, unemployment in public sectors, and the typical social tension in an already polarized society. Milei is trying to eradicate a model entrenched for decades, but history teaches us that abrupt corrections also generate powerful resistance and risks of instability. The positive aspect is the resurgence of hope among the population and the exaltation of freedoms. The pendulum continues to swing. If Milei manages to stabilize the economy and initiate sustained growth, he will demonstrate that it is possible to correct misguided courses. If he fails, the pendulum will swing back forcefully to the opposite side, possibly in a more radicalized manner. Herein lies the Stoic lesson: neither euphoria over initial results nor despair over current difficulties should cloud our judgment. What is important is to observe whether institutional virtue is built: clear rules, respect for property, and fiscal responsibility, because these are the only lasting foundations. Human beings are capable of learning from their most serious mistakes. Argentina, despite everything, has a democratic system with free elections, and its people possess within themselves a great capacity to be reborn. Friends, we have objectively analyzed the rise of Donald Trump and Javier Milei as clear expressions of history's pendulum swing. But the picture is not yet complete. In the second part, we will analyze Nayib Bukele and Jair Bolsonaro, and above all, we will explore the great historical opportunity opening up for South America, the real possibility of contributing to the formation of a shield of the Americas with its own leading role. Is this the moment when the peoples of South America can stop being mere spectators and take on greater weight in global geopolitics? We will see that in the next video. Subscribe to the channel, activate the notification bell, and comment. Your comments are always very important and also help us reach more people. In the meantime, I invite you to reflect. What can we control in this new cycle? The path is made by walking. See you in part 2 next week.